Hey, what's up guys? Books Nelson here, back with another video, and today we'll be talking about the content that we have to look forward to. I don't know if you guys can hear my air quotes in that tomorrow. And a lot to talk about, but first and foremost, let's talk about the fact that there are 3 Dark Matters available in the player market, a season too late, but here we are. And I will say, these 3 Dark Matters should be pretty solid. I think Tyrus Thomas is probably better than solid. So let's look at the old Tyrus Thomas card, because I think this is the thing to be excited about. You have access to what's probably going to be a very elite card on the player market, one of the most elite cards released on the player market pretty much since the All-Star, the accursed All-Star weekend. So if you look at Tyrus, he was way ahead of his time. Just way ahead of his time from a SIG standpoint. Ben Shepherd base, it was already on quick. That shot's fantastic, absolutely fantastic shot. Believe it or not, I think this card still plays to this very day, especially with the Sabrina Ionescu coach. The only thing this card was missing was his shot. His 3-point shot was an 80, but his release is so good. And that now, I think with the Ionescu coach turning that into a 90 plus shoot 94, I actually think, and this might sound crazy, I actually think this card can still play today. And not only does he still play, I think he plays over several Dark Matters. If you're just looking at the quality of his animations, the dimensions of the card, I think this card's absolutely fantastic. And I expect nothing less tomorrow from the card as well. So before we move forward, let's go ahead and look at his animations, what he's got. So I expect an upgrade on the Luka hesitation, but if you watch this channel, you don't need the Luka hesitation to really get cooking anymore with that in and out tech. So the Kemba escape, D-Fox, Irving, all of that was just absolutely top of the notch, top notch. The only thing was the Trae Young combo moves kind of stink. And that needs to be changed. Hopefully he gets the Harden or something really good. Like, as much as I love the Harden combo moves, and they really are elite, there are other combo moves in the game that are also really good. And I think in my team, for stylistic reasons, we should be exploring more of those. The same thing with these aggressive breakdown moves. I want to see more aggressive breakdown moves. There's no reason to be copy and pasting this stuff across the board. But yeah, this guy had basically everything. And even his behind the back, his behind the back was outrageous too. I was just using this card for the objectives, for the pink diamond 3-pointers, and I was like, man, this card is really outstanding. So, long story short, a lot to look forward to in terms of this Tyrus Thomas. He looks really great for one of the cards that is actually available in the collection. So let's see who else we got. So I warned you guys yesterday, these Team USA cards are most likely not going to be it. Anthony Edwards is, really, all of these cards need brand new bases. That's the main thing. Like, I'm not going to write them off yet. Kawhi's been good all year. Anthony Edwards has struggled all year, partially because he just does not have a competitive shot base. He's had some really good animations, and I've been higher on the card than other people have been. But still, his size and that base holds him back. And at this point in the year, there are going to be so many great point guards, 6'6" and above with elite animations. I just can't imagine a 6'4" card being something that people are going to be excited about. Bam Adebayo, same thing, 6'9" at the 4. It's just past that point in the year. There are going to be people out there running Wemby at the 4, right? It's just a struggle. I mean, this Team USA content is just coming at the wrong part of the year. The only way for this Team USA content to have been really good is if they really just targeted salary cap. And they said, you know what? For those of you playing salary cap, these are going to be the best salary cap cards you can possibly get. That would have made it exciting. I don't think most of these Team USA cards are going to play on most lineups across the board. Kawhi, out of these 3, probably the best because he's 6'7" at the 2 guard and has super juiced defensive stats, and he's already been a good card, and I imagine he's going to get the best animations he's ever had. So moving forward, Rudy Gobert, we'll see. His shot, he has his own signature shot, and he's not a shooter, so he doesn't really have a base anybody's looking forward to. So we'll see what that Dark Matter is talking about, but he is tall. He is going to defend well. He should be able to defend pretty much anybody in the game. Even your Wembys and your Yaos. I think if a card is not a giant and he has a chance to defend those cards, it's going to be Rudy Gobert at 7'2". And then Paul Millsap, 6'7" at the 3 position. Don't love it. Tyrus Thomas playing the same position at 6'9" with a 7'1" wingspan. That's the card that if you're going to be spending your shekels on, you're going to spend it on that. All right. So now let's go ahead and look at these 100 overall inserts. So if you've been enjoying this video so far, and it's just unbiased commentary about what card is going to be good and what card is going to be bad, I would like to introduce you to the complaining segment of the video. This 100 overall thing is just a bad idea. First of all, it doesn't even make sense to me because they're called 100 overalls, but it's 99 overall everything. How do you become 100 overall from being 99 overall? That doesn't even make sense mathematically. But then you look at it on top of it, so there's no rhyme or reason to who's getting these cards anymore. James Worthy, 6'9", small forward. Is this 100 overall going to be better than Tyrus Thomas? Right? Brandon Roy, okay, he can play the 1, 6'6". Is there any shortage of 6'6", 6'7", and up point guards in the game right now? Right? Taco Fall, just random, barely in the league player so they can put a giant on there and special inserts. Just super corny. Right? Like yet another big that nobody's going to be able to get. He's going to be super duper rare coming out of packs. Just another giant you're hiding in there. And LaMelo Ball. He's going to need a bunch of new animations to be competitive. He's been solid all year, but has never, ever, in my opinion, been at the very top of the meta. And then, of course, the worst idea in my team history, in my opinion, the GOAT cards. I think this is just such objectively just bad content. It's just bad content. No one wants this. Who cares about small forward shooting guard Dirk Nowitzki like this? You know what I mean? Like you're not playing Dirk at the center at this time of year, so it's just like, okay, small forward, power forward, point guard Dirk Nowitzki, fine. He's going to get crazy animations. He's still not going to move that well because he's so tall. And I don't understand. But you guys let me know what you think of this content. I think the GOAT content is actually the worst thing they've ever done from an idea standpoint. Like, I think it's an objectively stupid idea, right? And I'm not trying to dump on the devs, because here's the problem with the GOAT content. We already talked about the math of it, right? Just putting in all of these extra dark matters just ruins your ability to pull other special inserts because it's multiple special inserts of one thing. And once you get one, you're like, okay, I'm cool. I don't need any more, but you're going to get more, right? With the very, very low pack odds, which I expect dark matter odds to be a little higher now. So here's the good and the bad of it, right? If that dark matter card isn't awesome, what's the point? Because he's probably going to be flying out of packs because of him, and the cards you can already get in the player market are going to be flying out of packs because the dark matter odds are going to be raised because the 100 overalls are the new special inserts. So now you're going to be getting all of these dirt cards you just don't really care about, right? So I don't know, man. I hope they never, ever do this again. I'm really surprised they're closing out the season with this stuff. I would think at this point in the year that they would want people to be enthusiastic about it. And the other thing about this GOAT series card is it just milks the big names over and over. So now, for the first time since I've ever played my team, we're just getting so many of the same card over and over and over. Like, if you go in and you look up Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic and Michael Jordan, there's just so many cards. And then there's players, good players in the NBA that we literally have either gotten one card or they only have a series card. Or players in NBA history that either don't have a card or they got some like one amethyst from way earlier in the year. They haven't gotten a new card. I just don't love the lack of variety in this content overall. And I don't like what this does to the packs, especially when you're going to be forcing people to pull packs to get this content anyway. And now with the dark matters being so expensive in terms of, we'll see how this lock-in works. We don't even know if there will be a lock-in, right? Will there even be deluxe packs? Like, that's something I didn't really get to talk about. Those next packs, because they were all dark matters, there's no deluxe packs, right? So we'll see what the deluxe packs pricing is. There's a lot that we're going to find out tomorrow. But from my perspective, it's looking like season 8 is going to go out like a wet fart. I think that, and listen, I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. I think this Team USA concept is terrible and way too late. I think the GOAT concept should have absolutely died last year. Everybody hated it. I've seen much less enthusiasm in the community across the board. Having super expensive dark matters that may or may not be a lock-in, and these 100 overalls, this really seems like they spent all of their currency with the community trying to get people to pull packs. And because of that, they had to power creep the whole mode. And now, if you don't have Patty Mills base and aren't either a giant or an oversized point guard, we just don't care anymore. And as it is last season, I feel like most of the cards last season were actually inferior to the cards in the season before. And this is like for the whole season. You can still go back to the previous season and say, if I built a team from season 6 until the next collection came out, which is barely even last season, that's more this season than last season, right? You know, season 7 just really didn't have a whole lot. So season 8, talking about these, what's going to be a lot of undersized Team USA cards, more GOAT cards we don't care about, more 100 overalls no one's going to get. The only thing that I like about this is that with the Dark Matters being in collections, at the very least, if you want to improve your team, every week now, you might have a viable option to say, okay, I can just get one of these cards that I want that improves my team. So theoretically, if Rudy Gobert has a decent jumper, you can say, okay, I'll just buy Gobert, and my center position is much healthier than having to have used Artis Gilmore or whoever all this time, right? If you were, a budget, no money spent, you're maybe using Roy Hibbert or something like that. Maybe now you can actually upgrade your collection from the actual cards that are released in the player market, because we're just so late in the year, they're forced to no longer put opals in the player market. But when I look at the rest of this collection, I mean, if you had any chance of getting Taco Fall, if it was a lock-in for an option pack for Taco Fall, this would still be really expensive. I expect these are going to be probably at least $250, right? For each of these cards. I'd be shocked if it was less than that. We'll see. But even if it was $250 to lock in for an option pack, and then you pick Taco Fall, is that really, like, that's still almost $1 million MT for one card, really, that you're looking for. I think that's actually a reasonable price. And one of the many, many, many ways they could have made this all much friendlier and much more enjoyable for the community. So I'm sorry this preview video turned out to be a rant video, but this content is just so terrible and unimaginative and boring and uninteresting in every single way that I can think of. It was like, when I saw what they announced with the Team USA thing, I was already a little bit nervous. Not even a little nervous. I was actually extremely skeptical, because the roster of Team USA is just not good for the end of the year in my team. It's mostly point guards and wings and normal size bigs. You don't have giants. You don't have big point guards historically in Team USA. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, that just seems like a terrible idea. And the fact that on top of that terrible idea, we've got these 100 overalls. The pack odds are probably still going to be absolutely horrible for getting those cards. And we've got GOAT Dirk Nowitzki. Who cares? Like, this is, look at before I go, look at all of the special inserts. Just look at how many of these cards are special inserts. That's crazy to me. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 special inserts versus 3 player market cards. This is absurd. This is such terrible content. And it's funny because I made a video yesterday with the locker code and my sound it didn't come through. So I just deleted the video. I was going to put it back up, but there was this epic rant on that video. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that rant was out of pocket and I was saved from myself. But I'm going to leave y'all with this. Because my point in that rant was just this. And I've said this before in a different way, but I want to close out the video by saying this in plain English. The real tragedy of this mode, we talk about the devs versus the lizard people who give them their orders. If you rounded up all of the My Team devs, everybody who contributes to the mode, and you put them in a room, and you said, no matter what you guys come up with, it's going to make $1 trillion. So don't worry about that. Just come up with the best game you can possibly make for My Team. It would look so different than the mode that we're getting that I think it would be like literally heartbreaking. There would probably be so many good ideas coming from that team, so many interesting modes coming from that team, like so many interesting ways to engage both multiplayer and team building and offline, that you would literally be like, that sounds like one of the greatest games ever made. But instead, they've got their marching orders to give us the worst content in My Team history, and I find it absolutely sickening. And quite frankly, I don't care what your marching orders are. as an artist, you should always be ashamed of producing bad art. And as a person who's worked for Marvel and DC and Sony and a bunch of Mattel and Hasbro and a bunch of other companies, every time I've produced bad art, it's been one of the worst feelings I've ever had. And I think that my team developers probably have that feeling right now because this garbage stinks. Thanks for watching the channel. As always, I'll see y'all in the next one. See y'all in the morning to break down these cards. Looking forward to it. Please like and subscribe if you have not already. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.